Good day, I'm your host Ahilada, and welcome to Kingsley News. Our first story is a look at the current state of Theresa May's Brexit. Joined with us is Vince.
Thank you, Ahil. So now on to some international news regarding Theresa May asking for an extension for Brexit until June 30th. To the viewers who aren't aware of Brexit, Brexit is a short word of saying that the UK is departing from the European Union. The UK decided to leave the European Union after a referendum was held on Thursday, June 23, 2016, to see if the UK can leave from the Union. The vote was 51% to 49%, meaning that the UK would officially leave the EU. Theresa May and the members of the Union declared the departure to occur on Friday, March 29, 2019. However, May wrote to the European Council President Donald Tusk asking for an extension till June. Tusk allowed the extension for the UK, but with a condition. Tusk says that the withdrawal date of June 30th instead of March 29 brings some political and legal issues because of the upcoming elections for the EU Parliament held between May 23rd to the 26th. Tusk says that the Brexit deal will not be considered because the public had enough of the waiting and the political issues. May says it's up to the MPs to decide and make the choice regarding the Brexit deal. May's announcement presented anger in the Parliament as the Labour Party accused her of blackmail, bullying and bribery because of her attempts to delay the deal, and one Brexit supporter says she's betraying the people. British lawmakers have rejected May's deal twice because of her tendency to get the agreement approved. A delay to Britain's withdrawal requires the approval of 27 other countries. France believes that the EU would not get the request. France wants May to give an approximate timeline of the extension and the guarantees they would provide towards France. With this delay, May becomes the first leader to invoke Article 50. Article 50 is a clause in the Lisbon Treaty of the EU stating steps being taken for a country to leave the Union. Next month, May will meet with the EU leaders in Brussels to discuss Article 50 and the parliamentary elections. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is satisfied with how Britain is finally making progress to proceed on Brexit, but is not saying how Germany will respond. Britain seems to have no interest in working with the Germans regarding a deal of the departure. 2 weeks ago, May warned the House of Commons that a longer extension would be needed if lawmakers failed to vote in favor of the deal for the third time. Juckner, the head of the executive branch, says Britain won't leave on the 29th and no new negotiations and additional assurances will not be provided. Juckner says that the Parliament needs to approve on the deal because he believes May does not have a clear plan. Anna Soubry, who is a former member of May's Conservative Party, says May does not have a plan regarding the aftermath of the Brexit deal. This comes 3 years after when the United Kingdom voted to leave the EU. British politicians are arguing if the world's 5th largest economy should leave the bloc when it first joined in 1973. One of the MPs, Wyvick Copper, who chairs Home Affairs, says the attempt May is doing is dangerous to the country as the plan already failed 3 times. We asked a few locals about their opinion of Brexit and how it impacts the people.
Thanks for inviting me on your show. Anyway, on to the Brexit thing. I think that at this point in the game, the whole debate is just being used to fuel Theresa May's ego. She's been just knocking on the whole Brexit thing, when a lot of pundits, a lot of the people don't want it. A lot of people are saying it's going to be bad for the British economy, bad for the European economy as a whole. And I just think the whole world is moving towards more globalism, more collectivism. And I think Theresa May is just not embracing that, and she should within a reasonable amount of time, because she is really facing impeachment if she doesn't do something and get her house in order. As a Forex trader myself, no one is touching the euro at this time or any other smaller European currencies, and I don't think anyone will, and it's really going to have bad effects on the economy if this whole debate continues. Obviously, jobs, economics, environmental stuff, everything is usually better with the globalism. Thanks for having me again.
Okay, so I feel that life will be harder as a citizen of England now that England is now independent of the European Union and how Brexit's a thing. And it's going to make life harder for the people of Britain because since they're isolated now as a country, that means that they have to get their supplies almost independently now without relying on, other countries from Europe pretty much. I mean, like, there's still free trade and stuff like that, but it's just going to be harder to, manage all that. And plus, taxes are going to go higher up in England. And overall, it's just going to cost the citizens of England more money to live, and it's going to be more costly. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think that the people in Britain are frustrated that the Brexit is delayed, probably because they've all agreed, or the majority have agreed for the Brexit, and yet since it's being delayed, it can be often frustrating that you have to wait a long time for your decisions to actually be made official.
Our second story is about New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. It's promised in response to the tragic shootings that occurred at two Christchurch mosques that left 50 dead and many other injured. This attack happened on March 15, 2019 by radical extremist Brenton Harrison Tarrant. In response to this attack, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said, 10 days after the attack, they will announce new reforms to New Zealand gun laws. From that same statement, Prime Minister Ardern said that firearms described as military-style semi-automatic, also known as MSSA, as well as automatic rifles will be banned. These MSSAs are described as semi-automatic firearm capable of being used with a detachable magazine, which holds more than 5 cartridges, as well as a semi-automatic shotgun capable of being used with a detachable magazine and hold more than 5 cartridges. New Zealand has an already established gun licensing category system, ranging from A to E, where A, the lowest, should not possess any MSSAs. Currently, there's a transitional period for the next month where gun owners who unlawfully own MSSAs can give up their weapons to police. They can complete a form to have their MSSAs collected, and later they will get compensation. Police will work with the New Zealand Defence Force to ensure smooth collection and transportation and destruction of the MSSAs. So as said before, there will be 2 options to dispose of the MSSAs. One of them will be selling them to the government, or surrendering them willingly to police or anyone with the license to collect. The buying back of these weapons is being discussed by the police and the Treasury. More information will be revealed as of later, but it is now expected to cost the government $100 to $200 million. As a result of recording this, the 10-day mark has not been met yet, but Cabinet will be discussing the tightening of firearm licensing and penalties, as well as a range of ammunition. Finally, to make sure they'll be able to act accordingly to future technology. Coming up next, United Nations formally asks Canada to extend Mali mission to prevent Medvac gap.
Where can you find a burger inspired by flavors from near and far that mixes the smoky with the sass of the South? Combines the sweetness of summer with the tang of the country for savory, sizzling, unexpected flavors. Well, you can find it at McDonald's. The new Bacon Smokehouse Burger. It's the newest flavor of the signature crafted recipes by McDonald's.
Hello, this is Pavan. It has been 8 months since Canada has deployed 8 military helicopters and 250 military personnel in an effort to help set conditions for durable peace, development, and prosperity in Mali. Now, 4 months left until they come back home and the Romanians take over for Canada. United Nations formally asked Canada to extend its mission in Mali for what seems like a last-ditch effort to prevent a gap in the provision of military medical evacuations for wounded and peacekeepers and UN staff. The move is somewhat unusual because such formal requests are only often made when the UN believes it has a good chance of success, which is anything but certain in this particular condition. Yet, the presence of such a formal request also increases the pressure on Canada to respond positively, after the government, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, repeatedly played down the gap. Canada is scheduled to end operations at the end of July 2019, at which point the Romanians will come and take over for Canada. However, the Romanians aren't scheduled to begin operation until October 15th of 2019,
meaning there will be a roughly 2.5-month gap that needs to be filled. The UN wanted a response by Friday. However, the federal government asked for a 2 weeks extension. Canada argues that the UN can contract civilians to do that job for them as it did in the past. However, a UN official said that doing such thing would cost $1 million per year, and they have faced a decrease in budget since the US pulled out last year. NDP defense critic Randall Garrison said, "Not extending the mission puts people's lives at risk in Mali and puts our international reputation at risk now that we have the UN has formally asked us to make an extension."
Our next story is an update on the Ontario government's autism funding plan. Initially, the plan was to give parents the choice between direct service and direct funding. This plan was based on the student's need. The cost of 1 hour of ABA was $55 per hour. Depending on the need of the child, some students were given 20 hours, 30 hours, or 40 hours per week. There were still a lot of kids on the waiting list. The new plan was brought about to abolish the waiting list, which had 23,000 children on it. The plan was to provide $20,000 per year only for children under 6, and after that point, it would drop to $5,000 per year for kids up to 18. This sounds great, but there's major flaws in that system pointed out by parents, as the funding is a drop in the bucket in comparison to the treatments their children were receiving. Under the old plan, the treatments of their children could cost up to $100,000 per year. According to the province, the amount of funding for all children on ASD will depend on 2 factors, income and age. Parents say that it should be based instead on a child's need. After several weeks of protests by parents, the province has announced a new plan, which is like the other plan with one exception. It is not based on the parents' income, as it was in the initial plan. In that plan, only families earning less than $55,000 in net income could even qualify for the full funding amounts. The government has also given a 6-month extension to the old system. Coming up next, the Rohingya are not going home to Myanmar. Can Bangladesh cope?
Don't you love how easy life is with a smart home? You never have to lift a finger. Hey, smart home, open the curtains. Smart home, maybe a little lavender mist. Hey, smart home, play me something in C minor. Oh, hey, smart home, make me a pad thai with extra tofu and don't skimp on the bean sprouts. Healthy.
Skip the dishes. You deserve great delivery.
Hello, this is Plabon. International news. Bangladesh is once again calling for the establishment of safe zones for the Rohingyas in Myanmar, so that it can begin to resettle some of the 1 million or so refugees that has been under their care in the district of Cox's Bazar. This is not the first time the government in Dhaka has pushed this matter. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has pressed Myanmar on the issue before the United Nations General Assembly back in September 2017. However, Myanmar has no intention of taking back any of its Rohingya refugees. Bangladesh, who is a poor and very densely populated country, most Bangladeshis have sympathy for the plight of the Rohingya refugees, but are worried about their own future, especially with the amount of refugees they have been taking. Fearing for their future, this has led them to refuse to take any further refugees from Myanmar. Myanmar has agreed to take back their Rohingya refugees as long as they promise to settle down in the transit camp they built for them. The so-called transit camp are similar to those of the concentration camps in World War II. It's a prison with guards, but without the gassing of its people. The Rohingyans won't return until they are assured full citizenship and equal rights as the rest of the population. Myanmar has no intention of entertaining their demands. Instead, Myanmar, as it is now, the Rohingya has offered them status of second-class citizen with identification card. And as the situation remains as it is now, the Rohingyas will be relatively more safe in Bangladesh. China is also building a part of their Belt and Roads Initiative through Myanmar, in an effort to bring Myanmar citizens suddenly under the Chinese wing. Although Cox's Bazar remains a safe haven for refugees, the political trend in Dhaka is worrisome. It is beyond the realm of possibility that Dhaka might soon take a bad decision and force them to return, but before they do that, they'll assure that it is safe to do so. The international community needs to be aware of the fact that the situation is once again looking to take a turn for the worse, and should help Bangladesh sustain the refugees. Thank you.
Coming up next, we're talking about Zion Williamson, an upcoming athlete with a bright future in the NBA. We'll be back after these messages.
Yards on the drive.
Alright guys, on to the world of sports. Zion Williamson, currently an NCAA superstar, playing with the Duke Blue Devils with high expectations. This passionate 18-year-old became a basketball phenomenon before he entered college. On social media, Williamson has more followers than Mike Trout and Aaron Rodgers, two well-known sportsmen. Williamson stands at 6'7" and weighs 285 pounds, which would make him the heaviest NBA player for his size. Zion also has a 40-inch vertical jump that allows him to do amazing plays. Many players in the NCAA struggle to guard Williamson because of his physical presence, ball handling skills, and his remarkable shooting. Williamson has all the capabilities of a well-rounded player and is compared to NBA greats such as LeBron James, Charles Barkley, and Shawn Kemp. Many NBA players such as LeBron James spectate Williamson's games in college because of his intensive skills. Williamson will most likely go down as the #1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. The New York Knicks are one of the worst teams in the NBA. With Williamson's immense power and the potential of the addition of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in the offseason, the Knicks will definitely be the team to beat. This season in the NCAA, Williamson averaged 21.6 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals as his team was the best in the NCAA. Popular notables such as Barack Obama, Spike Lee attended a Duke game where they played Florida State just to see Zion. Recently, Williamson has suffered a minor ankle injury as his team struggled to gain momentum. Luckily, Williamson returned to the team just in time for the biggest competition in the NCAA, the March Madness. March Madness is a competition between all the basketball teams across the state to win a national championship. March Madness is compared to some of the professional tournaments such as the NBA playoffs, Super Bowl, and the NHL playoffs. All eyes are on Zion Williamson in this tournament as fans are eager to see the amount of effort he brings to the tournament. The Duke Blue Devils are the favorites to win the tournament as they were the #1 seed in the regular season. If the Blue Devils manage to win the national championship, Williamson will go down as the #1 pick in this upcoming draft. Most rookies in the NBA usually have a decent first year, but are not an important asset to their team due to the other veterans. Williamson is described almost like a veteran player and could already bring a change to a struggling team. Current NBA teams such as the Atlanta Hawks, New York Knicks, and Phoenix Suns are young teams who need players like Williamson.
That's this week's news. Thank you for watching. Signing off, this is Ahil Ladha from Kingsley News.